Yo, what's up, guys? Brendan Wolf here. 1310 is out, and it's time to talk about the new builds, runes, and items that Fiora is going to be taking advantage of. So, let's jump right into it. Now, after testing Divine, the only real difference here is that the target max health goes down to 4%. So, we got a very small nerf. We've played it before in the previous video, as you saw, and it's still good. It still does its job. It's just a little bit weaker, which allows for more creativity. So, typically, what I would do with Divine is I was running Conquer, not anymore. Divine is 100%. You're going to take Grasp with it every time. It's going to be when you're in uncomfortable lanes and you need that extra healing. But now that we have more options with Divine, you can take Hullbreaker and you can take Sterix. And I think this is the best split pushing build here with this. If you want a fighting build, you can still go Death Dance and Maul. I think this is fine. I think these are the two builds that you have with Divine now. You have your split pushing build and you have your more fighting build with Death Dance and Maul. And then also, obviously, having a Hullbreaker and Sterix, I think is better. I think it's better with Divine. I think they work a little bit better. And then, obviously, if you're super ahead, Spear Shojin build. And then, obviously, whatever you want after that. Probably Hullbreaker or Sterix. Sterix, by the way, got buffed, so this is going to be an item that we're going to talk about a lot. Sterix is going to be really good at this patch. So let's move on to Goredrinker. Now, Goredrinker is probably one that I'm not going to build very often, but Goredrinker still does have value, that's for sure, just because it has that ability haste. So prioritize Goredrinker into lanes where you're going to have... or games where you're going to have more melees, where you can actually proc these vitals and get the heals off. So if you have about 3 or 4 melees on enemy team, Goredrinker is going to come to be pretty effective. And then Goredrinker, obviously, you can take Ravenous, and then same thing as before, Hullbreaker and Sterix, or we take our Death Dance and Maul. Those are probably going to be your two best variations. And I just don't... This is... I would say that Stridebreaker is way better than Goredrinker on this upcoming patch, but I still see some value in it if there's a lot of melee, especially like even champions where you want to have the cooldown reduction, the extra ability haste, and Akali, because she goes, you can attack champions when they're invisible with your Q. So Akali, Kiana, like those types of champions, I do see value with it. So this one is very, stagnant. Nothing too fun, nothing too crazy with the Goredrinker. Standard, just like we showed with Divine. You get your split pushing, and you've got your fighting, and your team fighting. Also, keep in mind that with this build, you're going to go Conquer. So always take Conquer with Goredrinker because they work well together. Don't take Grasp, don't take Press the Attack, none of that. So now we'll get into Triforce. Now Triforce is a must when it comes down to Conquer because they stack together. Notice how we're getting the 5 AD for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, and it goes all the way up to 25. Also, keep in mind that when you're attacking with Conquer, you're also gaining AD as well. So these two, this rune and this item, go hand in hand. So the biggest thing, obviously, is making sure that when you're in the champ select, you're going to need to know to make these decisions on the runes and builds that you're going to go for the game. You need to make those decisions in the champ select. You need to look at the enemy team comp, look at your team comp, and say, all right, this is a Grasp, a Divine game. This is a split pushing game, and I'm going to go Triforce. I want to take Stridebreaker, whatever it may be. You need to be able to make these decisions in the champ select. And it's going to be way more important to do so coming up, and or right now during this batch, way more important to actually know. So Triforce, I feel like there's a couple options. I think that Triforce is going to be more of your split pushing build, a lot stronger than any of the other 4 mythics, a lot stronger than Gore, Stride, or Divine when it comes to split pushing. So there's a little bit of variety here. Either you can take Ravenous Hullbreaker into Sterix, or you can take Titanic Hullbreaker into Sterix, and I think this is really good too because this scales. So obviously, when we look at the Titanic, we're getting 32 AD based off of our HP. Even with these 4 items, we're super tanky. 214 armor, 142 MR with 370 AD. This is going to be a whole new world, basically, when it comes down to split pushing. I'm very excited to see this as well. And you'll notice, even when I go to attack something, look at the AD stacking. And this is only with Triforce, right? So I'm getting good AD, very good AD here, along with the attack speed. And then when I'm attacking champions, I'm also going to be stacking my Conquer up as well. So if we were to put down a dummy and then stack up Conquer all the way, we're actually going to see our AD go all the way up to 438 with these items. This is a build that I'm very excited about. I think it's going to be really good. And this is with Titanic, by the way. Ravenous will give you even more AD if you want it. This is going to be probably the second best mythic that you have available to you. And you have the 2 options, either take Titanic or Ravenous. And then if you're going to go Triforce, it's so much better as a split pushing item because of the stacking AD and the ramping up. So this is just going to be really, really ideal, especially for the combos that you can do on Fiora. and you'll just be able to knock out towers like crazy. We made a video about that as well, and we saw towers falling in about 6 seconds. So if you want a more defensive build, Titanic. If you want to go more damage, take the Ravenous. Now we're going to jump into Stridebreaker, which I think has a little bit of variety here. So when it comes down to Stridebreaker, I think that you can take Press the Attack or Conquer. I think you can take both. Now, when would you take Press the Attack? Press the Attack is going to be more into lanes where you really need that extra 1v1 damage. So I like to take Press the Attack into champions like Akshan and Vayne. Anybody that I know, or Kale, Yone, champions that I know that I need to be able to outscale them in damage quickly. Like, I want a really early power spike and be able to beat them 1v1 and not allow them to get a kill. So usually this is for the more volatile lanes, champions that scale really well against me, and I want that big damage spike in the 1v1 game. You do lack a little bit with the without Conquer in team fights, but if you're really trying to make sure that you win the 1v1 in side lane at all times, then PTA is going to be your go-to. Now, what would the PTA build look like? PTA build is either going to just be Stridebreaker with Ravenous, and then this is where it gets funky, because I think this is going to be the best mythic by far in the next patch. So I would say, looking for that good 1v1 with PTA, you can go Stride, Ravenous, and Rush Bork first item and have these three, which is really awesome for PTA. Nobody's going to beat you in a 1v1 with these three items. I do think that you can take Stride, Ravenous, and Spirit Shojin when you're ahead if you want to get that awesome 1v1 and a lot more AD as well. And I'd say those are your two big items for big power spike, big damage, but you're going to be a lot more squishy. What I do think probably is going to be the best thing, once again, I know this sounds crazy, but with the Hullbreaker buff and the Sterix buff, both these items getting buffed, it just seems like this is so much better for Fiora, is this type of build, where it's Hullbreaker and Sterix. Hullbreaker and Sterix are getting these nice buffs. We haven't been building them before. I mean, Hullbreaker was kind of common with Fiora in the past, but now it's a lot stronger. Sterix has been kind of just whatever for the longest time. Now notice how we're getting actually, this is an item that you're going to want to buy later into the game because it's giving you AD based off of your base AD, so around the 4th item mark is probably the best way to do it. So notice I'm getting 62 AD along with 400 HP, and then when my health goes below 30, I gain a shield for 900 HP for 5 seconds, and 25% size and tenacity for 30% tenacity for 8 seconds. It is absolutely insane. Fiora is about to be so insanely tanky, it's crazy. Now, what I'm probably ideally going to do is this build here. I do think there's other options, right? So I think that you can definitely get away if you don't want to do like the split pushing build and you want to go for that fighting build. Go ahead, get the Borg, grab the Spear of Shojin, go Death Stance and Maul, whatever it may be. The biggest thing here that we really want to look out for is that getting used to using our whip active again to proc vitals. This is the biggest thing that's huge to bring back into the game. Notice that you can actually proc multiple vitals on enemies like this. If we can get them lined up here, let's see. And pop. All 3 vitals popped. Pretty cool. So Stridebreaker I really think is going to be the next big thing because of all the AD. I mean, just the 2-item power spike is so strong. I mean, we're looking at 260 AD without any stacks on Ravenous. Now that has 65 AD. You gain the stacks, you get even more AD. And now we have 60 AD on Stridebreaker, which makes it way more valuable, especially with the ability to proc vitals with the whip as well. So this is going to be Conquer PTA. What's the best mythic for 1310 for Fiora? By far, it's going to be Stridebreaker. This is going to be the new big thing for us. Start getting that Stridebreaker, start pumping out huge damage, and enjoy it. So Ravenous, once again, with Ravenous, Stridebreaker, Ravenous, and Spear. Stride, Ravenous, and Bork. Well, Bork Rush. If you go Bork, you always rush Bork. So Bork, Stride, Ravenous, Death Stance, and Maul. Or what I'm probably going to be building the most is going to be Stride, Ravenous, Hullbreaker, and Sterix. And then also just want to point out some 4 fun items that could possibly be good. Possibly not, but some things that look really good that I've played with a little bit, and they're all right. Not the worst thing ever. Prowler's Claw is no longer a mythic, so you can build that. Has a 99% slow for 0.5 seconds whenever you dash, which Fiora does a lot of. So Prowler's is a fun one. And 2 other ones that I think are really cool are going to be the Bloodthirster, which while above 50% HP, you get an additional 10 to 40 attack damage, scaling off of your level during the game. And then Immortal Shield Bow is no longer a mythic as well. So these 3 items I think are very interesting. I think they do have some value, but probably just in games where you are just mega ahead. Other than that, I think the items and builds that I gave you guys are amazing, super solid, going to be S tier for Fiora. And also it's just a very organized version so that you guys can look at it, understand it, and be able to go into your games very comfortably. So All right, guys, that is the 13.10 patch video. I hope this little guide helps you out and helps you get into your ranked games, win some LP, carry on with the climb. Just trying to make a very simplified and organized version to make it super easy and accessible for you guys to get into your ranked games and understand these new items and how to build on Fiora. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace out. Love ya. Bye-bye.